Hello, I'm Shauna Sue, and this is 10-Minute Technique Tuesday. So today on 10-Minute Technique Tuesday, we're going to talk about trees. We're going to talk about tree branches, the dreaded tree branches. I know a lot of you absolutely love trees, and I know a lot of you absolutely hate to paint trees. So I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and techniques this week that will hopefully help you work through tree branches, things that you can practice and maybe improve your technique a little bit. So without further ado, tree branches. Let's get going. So here we go. Tree branches. Let's talk about tree branches. You'll see today I have two different brushes. I have a brush that's a flat brush. If I turn it sideways, you can see it's a flat brush, but it's kind of wide. I like to start a tree with this type of brush because it's bigger, it has more bristles, it'll hold more paint. I also have a pointy brush. This is the one that I'm going to use. It's not flat, it's round. It's pointy and it's round. I'm going to use this brush to work on my small branches. So with these two brushes, I can do what I need to do. So I'm going to start with my flat brush, right? It's flat. I'm going to start with my flat brush, but I'm going to use it skinny ways. So I have some black paint. I'm going to load that brush up with some black paint, and I'm just dragging through the black. My tree today is going to be black. We're going to do like a silhouette. I'm going to drag it through, and I'm going to use this brush skinny ways. I'm not going to use it fat ways. I'm going to turn and use it skinny. Okay, so I'm going to start my tree right here in the middle of the canvas. I'm going to use it skinny ways, and I want you to think about how trees are made. Most trees, they're nice and big and bold at the bottom, and they have that one main shoot that kind of comes up and disappears. Okay, now something I see a lot of people do, they'll start here beside it and do another and come up, and then they don't know how to fill this in between those two lines. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to start on or touching right beside and come up and thicken that up a little bit and get skinny, skinny, skinny. I'm going to do that again. I'm still using that brush skinny ways, not fat ways. It'll get too fat too fast. Skinny ways. I'm going to come back over it again, making it just a little bit wider. Oh, I ran out of paint. I'm going to load up again. I'm drawing through. Now, if you think about the way trees are made, this type of tree, not an evergreen tree, but a tree that loses its leaves, if you think about the way it's made, it's going to have, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 of these type of branches that are bigger than everybody else, that are bigger than the twigs. So I'm going to start down here again. Look, I'm making that wider each time, a little bit wider. And what if I pull off in this direction now? Oh, I lost my paint. Got a little thin. That's okay. I'll load it up again. I'm going to go over it again. Oh, that's lovely. I feel like I want another one that's a little lower right there. Notice as I'm doing this, I'm starting on my main trunk and I'm pulling up and away, getting skinny, skinny, skinny as I go. Do I want one more right there maybe? Not sure. Maybe one more. Oh, yeah, that was a good decision. Do you notice I brought this one down a little lower so it didn't peel off at the same spot as this one? Right? This one came first. I went up a little, and then this one. like that. I'm going to fatten this guy up a little bit there. Oh, always remember to come back down to the bottom and give your tree some roots. Give him feet. I'm going to broaden that out just a little bit down there. Okay. Now I can continue to work and thicken these up a little bit because this is the main skeleton. This is the main structure for our tree. So I'm going to continue to work and thicken it just a little, always getting skinny, 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 skinny as I go up and out. Okay. I'm going to thicken this guy up a little bit. Skinny, 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 skinny as I go out. 4. I'm an odd girl. Who knew that, right? I feel like I need one more. Where might that one go? I'm going to thicken this up a little because it needs to support it. Do I put one more here? Oh, look at that. My brush split, but I'm okay with that. So I'm getting to the point now that I need to move to a smaller brush. I have my main branches, my main tree skeleton on there. So I'm going to put that brush in my water cup, and now I'm going to go to this pointy brush. It's pointy and it's round, okay? And I can see by the paint that I've already put on there with my other brush, it's kind of breaking up a little bit. I'm having a hard time in places covering the canvas, especially when I start to run out of paint. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this brush, and in my water cup, I'm going to squish it around in there. And then I'm just going to drag it across the edge to get rid of a lot of the water, but there's still water on there. I don't want any weird drips, but I have, if I hold it up, I can almost get it to drip. So I'm going to take that, and in the edge of this black paint, I want to take that little bit of water that's in that brush and thin that down a little bit. I'm going to go back in my water cup and get a drip, just a drip of paint on the bristles, and come back again. Oh, that's looking pretty good. It might be hard for you to tell here. There we go. But I'm thinning that paint down ever so slightly. And look at how I load my brush. I am twirling gently and pulling out of the paint. Twirl and pull out of the paint. So when I pull out of the paint, I have paint all the way around my brush, but it's still at a nice point. So now I'm going to put some branches on there. Now, some little twigs. So now we have a tendency when we do this to want to hold our brush like this, the way we hold a pencil or a pen. And a lot of times I will hold my brush like that, but we have a tendency to want to do this and then not, I'm trying to think how to say this. If we hold it like this, we have a tendency to press the bristles in, and it'll be fat and hard to control. The way I'm going to paint, I'm going to turn the way I hold it. I'm going to hold my brush like this, really with my middle finger and my thumb, and that makes it easy for me to roll my brush. I'm holding on to the metal, the bezel of the brush, the metal part right there, and I can twirl it as I put a branch on there. Also, I'm not going to hold it like this perpendicular to the canvas. I'm going to turn it and hold it so I could almost lay my brush down on the canvas. I'm holding it almost flat against the canvas with that middle finger and thumb. So when I go to put a branch on there, I can twirl and pull up and away. I can twirl. I can hold it flat. And I'm just using, I'm going to see if you can see this. Let me see if I can focus in on this. It's really hard to tell. I'm just using the paint on this very tip of my brush. I'm not using the entire bristle. I'm just using the paint right there on the tip. And by rolling that brush when I paint, I'm using the paint that's all the way around it. So it's going a little further. So again, I'm going to paint some more branches. I'm going to go in the water cup, a drip of water, right there in the edge of my black, thin it down, twirl it through the paint, twirl it through, get it to a nice point, hold it with my middle finger and my thumb, parallel to the canvas, not perpendicular, parallel to the canvas, and I'm ever so slightly twirling and dragging. And I'm not thinking a whole heck of a lot about it. I'm just going. I'm twirling and dragging and twirling and dragging. I'm going to load up again. Drip of water in the edge of that black. Thin it down. I've heard some people say the consistency of ink. I think it's a little thicker than ink, but it's not as thick as the original paint. Somewhere in between. And I'm just going to keep going. Now think about the way trees are made. You always start in on a main branch and always think up and away. Now you can have some that pull down, but they never pull backwards. You can have branches that pull this way, that pull down a little, but they always think out. If I put a branch here and I pull backwards, it's broken. It's a broken branch. If I start a branch here and I pull backwards, it's broken. If I want to put a branch here, I have to pull out and away. Pull out and away. And by me twirling my brush, I can get that real cool, wiggly, wobbly. I just did a little dance here. You can't see it, but I did a little wibbly wobbly. It helps it look more realistic, as opposed to holding it like this, like a pencil, perpendicular, and just pressing a branch on there. Do you see the difference? I don't want to do this. I want to do parallel, twirl, and pull away. Okay? So I hope that was helpful. Maybe next time we'll talk about leaves or flowers or, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You can always go to, before we end here today, you can always go to a smaller brush. I just got another drip of water, thin my paint down there in the edge a little bit more, dragging it, rolling it and dragging it through to get it evenly distributed all the way around my brush. Put a couple more little branches on there. You could go to a smaller brush, is what I started to say, and get some smaller little twigs out there. I'm using just the same brush, but I'm just using the very, very end tip of that brush, just that tiniest little bit, to get little branches now. So, I hope you found that helpful. That's how I paint trees.